What is up, fellow adventurers? Welcome back to the channel. Figured it was time for another check-in because today was a pretty significant day in our journey. Trying to keep you guys up to date, and if you are just tuning in, we are in the process of exploring selling our house, selling everything we own, and going full-time in an RV. And we're trying to bring you guys along so you kind of understand the process, because we didn't know where to start, couldn't find anybody on YouTube that showed us where to start or what to walk through. So decided to set this journey up with you guys. With that said, today was the day that we had our first meeting with a realtor. And so I just kind of want to walk you guys through some of what they explained to us and give you guys just a general update. So let's check it out. Before we do that, I will give you guys this brief update. So we have been setting up and organizing for the yard sale. This is much more organized than it was. Everything on the TV shelves up there is for sale, except right now for the TV and the PlayStation. We've decided to hold on to those. But everything else you see is going to be in the yard sale this weekend. Everything on these tables, these tables, these tables. We cleaned the kitchen because the realtor was coming over. We have tables in the sunroom that have a ton of items, and I still haven't even gotten in the garage, but we're still a couple days away. But that's kind of an update on where we are with that. All right, guys, so let's go over some numbers that we talked through with the realtor today. None of this is set in stone, and these are kind of estimates, but just we were kind of taken back. And so we want to explain to you guys what they kind of showed us. If you've never sold a house, this will be new information to you. If you sold a house and you're saying, hey, these numbers are crazy, please drop a comment. Let us know. Again, first real estate agent we've ever talked to. We are going to call around just to make sure that we're getting the right numbers on this area. But in general, everything that I've searched and researched says this is pretty much average. So the idea is if we list our house around the $290,000 range, we are going to potentially be paying a 3% commission to our selling agent. Apparently, it is custom for the sellers to also pay the buyer's agent fee, which, you know, I think is dumb. But I guess if I was buying a house, I would think that was amazing. But they did say that we could pay, you know, maybe closer to 2%. And that's of course, your selling cost. They said, you know, we're going to have to obviously pull a title policy. So for a house of $290,000 in Texas, you're looking at around $1,719 for a title policy. They said it is pretty standard for sellers to provide like a 1-year home warranty to cover ACs, you know, washer, dry appliances, things like that, in case the buyers have issues within that first year. Closing cost, of course, they said this is negotiable, but they also told us that we are currently in a buyer's market, not a seller's market. And so they said, you know, typically closing costs could be anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000, depending on the lender and who the buyer's using and things like that. And then the title company cost of approximately $500. Now, what I showed you here is we have this is if we pay the buyer's agent, because we can negotiate and say, hey, we'll pay 2% of their commission. This is if we paid them the full 3% of the commission. Now, I did do some research that says that it is now legal for us to also negotiate our seller's commission. Now, that doesn't mean they'll negotiate with us. They may say, no, we're set at 3%, but we haven't investigated that too deep yet. But all of this to say, you can get really excited at a number like $290,000 thinking, man, that's going to be a great sell. But now let's look at reality. If we sell the house at the $290,000 range, these are where we're looking at having to pay on the lower side. So if we come up here and we pay the 2% buyer's agent and we pay the cheaper on the home warranty of $675 and we pay the cheaper end of the closing cost of around $5,000, it is going to cost us about $22,394 to sell our house. In a buyer's market, there is the potential that we would need to cover the higher end costs. So paying the buyer's agent 3%, paying for a $715 home warranty, and paying closing costs of up to $8,000. If that were to take place, it would cost us $28,000, almost $30,000. So at that point, our $290,000 sale becomes a $260,000 sale. Now, depending on what you actually owe on a mortgage, that could absolutely determine whether or not it's the right time for you to make the sale or to hold off. We're going to spend a little bit of time praying about it. We feel like we can still make this work with those numbers, that there's going to be enough room for us. But we are going to potentially call this agent back and say, look, we can do this, but we're going to have to come out on the lower end of these numbers in order to make it work for us. So, but that is from our first meeting with a realtor. Again, if you're watching this video and you've done this before and you have advice, leave us a comment, let us know. We've not done this. We've never sold a house with an agent before. So, but for somebody who has never done this, we wanted to give you guys just an inside look at what to expect to pay. I mean, this is apparently a pretty common expense concept for selling a house. So that's where we're at. So yeah, that's what we're looking at on the closing of this house if we decide to sell it. And again, I think we're still leaning towards this is going to work out. We're going to be able to make this. Yeah, we're gonna attempt to. And any input from my wife in this, other than please don't put me on camera?
The Lord will have the final say.
The Lord will have the final say. Absolutely. We're going to spend some time praying about it. But as of this moment, we are leaning towards continuing through the process. So we'll come back with another update for you guys. We are T-minus 2 days away from the kickoff of our first estate/yard sale. We'll come back to you guys with a video on how that works out as well. Thanks guys for watching. God bless you. Until next time, go out there and make an adventure.